Okay, guys, we are just going to spend some time practicing we're going to continue writing an equation in slope-intercept form. Today I'm just going to have you practice how to pull the information from a table. It's really similar to what we were doing yesterday. Like if I gave you the slope and a point or 2 points, the process is the same. I just want us to practice how we do it from a table. So some of you are on page 7 still if you have room, some of you are on page 9. And you are kind of deciding what you need to write down for this. If this is not quite clicking for you, I would take quite a bit of notes, write down what you need for this. So I don't have this table for you to glue into your notes. If you want to have a copy of it, I would just make a quick little XY chart first for example 1 and just start getting down these values. So we have 1, 4, and then we have 3 and 8. Blah, 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 blah. So if you want to have that in your notes, go ahead and get that copied in. Otherwise, we are just going to still go through the same process we did yesterday, which is we always need the same 2 pieces of information to write in slope-intercept form. And those 2 pieces of information are our slope, the y-intercept, and then we're going to use that to write our final equation. So remember how I had you guys kind of making this chart to keep track of your information yesterday? Oops, that's supposed to be an X. Hi, I'm an X. So let's just keep using this just to keep track of our information. Again, some of you are going to keep using this table. Some of you are ready to move ahead. You need to gauge your own understanding. If you are getting stuck, just use this table. Okay, so remember that when we find slope, we have a couple different ways we can do it. We can use the formula y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. We could do that. And remember where I get my coordinates from is I just take any 2 points. This could be one of my points, 1, 4, and then I could use, well, I'll just use this 2 points, 3, 8. So if you're doing that, then you just plug in your values. This is my second y value. So I have 8 minus, and my first y value is 4. And that's going to be all over my first x value, or my second x value is 3. And my first x value is 1. And so then that simplifies to 4 over, when I solve it, I get 4 over 2. And then that simplifies to 2 over 1 or just 2. I'm going to leave it as just 2. So I got my slope. I'm ready to move on to my next part. So I can actually start over here if I want to. I'm going to have 2 goes with my x. And then we'll take care of the rest of it when we have b. So remember when we use b, we're going to use our solving equation technique. So we're going to base it off of this form, mx plus b. Now with the table, you have a ton of points to choose from. These are all points on a line. So every single one of these is going to, if I plug it into my formula with a slope of 2, every single one of these can be used to solve for my y-intercept. It doesn't matter which one you pick. I'm just going to use this set of values. So for y, I'm going to plug in my y value, which is 4. For m, I'm going to plug in the 2 that I just found out. And then my x is 1. Now we are just solving for b. This is your missing value. We're just solving for it. This is still 4. This becomes 2 plus b. Now a lot of you like to use mental math, and you already can tell me that you know what the y-intercept is, but just for fun, let's show the inverse operation. We're going to subtract 2 from both sides, and we end up with b equals 2. Okay? So now we know that our y-intercept is also 2, so we can finish writing our equation. It's a positive 2, so we can just leave it as plus 2. And we're done. The equation of this line is y equals 2x, because we had a slope of 2, plus 2. That's it. You're done with that. You're done with that line. So let's look at the next one. We're going to do the same thing. Slope y-intercept, and then we're going to end with our equation. So why don't you go ahead and pause the video here, and I want all of you to take a, I don't know, 30 seconds, a minute to, no, let's do this, 30 seconds to come up with the slope, and then we'll come back together and I'll tell you the slope. So the slope for this one, you should have had 5 over -1, because this is increasing by 5 every time. And this is, I'm sorry, 5 over +1. So you should have a slope of 5, right? Sorry about that. Now go ahead and solve for b. Let's all use this point just so we have the same thing we're working off of, okay? So I didn't make my b column big enough, so I'm just going to do my work for this right here. What I want you to do now, since we know that our slope is 5, I want every one of us, all of us, to use the same point, so we practice plugging it into the same place. Go ahead and pause your video. Everybody plug in what we have, and then start solving for b, and then we'll come back together. So go ahead and pause it. Okay, so by now you should have plugged this in. So you have 4 for y, 5 for m, 5 for x, plus b. Wow, I am all over the place today. -5 for x. There we go. If you haven't already, go ahead and finish solving it. And remember, this ends up being a -21, -25. I'm giving the answer away. And our inverse operation is to subtract a -25, which is the same thing as adding 25. So you should have ended up with a slope-intercept of 29. Now, if that seems crazy to you, let's just write our final equation. So this is our slope, put it with x. This is our y-intercept, 29. And let's just make sure that's right. If we want to make sure it's right, we can choose a different point. Let's choose, you know what, this one. Anytime I see a 1, I'm like, ooh, I want that one. That's nice to work with. Let's just plug this in and make sure our equation is a true statement. So if our y value is 24, we have a slope of 5. If our x value is -1, and our y-intercept is indeed, if we think it's 29, this becomes -5, and -5 plus 29, that is -4. So this is a true statement, right? So that actually tells us that we were right. Yay! So our equation is right. So you can always double check your work by pulling one of these other points. That's kind of nice. All right, let's do one more example together. If at any point I'm going too fast, you can just ask the teacher to pause the video. So on this one, notice that our table is just sideways, but we're still going to do the same process, right? We're still going to find our slope, still going to find our y-intercept, and then we're still going to write our final equation. So the first thing that I want to make sure that you do is when you're writing your slope that you're doing your change in y over change in x. And when our table is upside down, sometimes people get that confused. So make sure you're paying attention to this, all right? So what I want you to do now is pause, take 2 minutes, and see how far you can get in the next 2 minutes. And then in 2 minutes, we'll start the video again, and you can see how you did. And then I'm going to go over a couple of things. So go ahead and pause and try this on your own. Okay, by now you should have tried this on your own. The equation that you should have gotten for this is y equals -1/2 x plus 1. So if you didn't get that, check a couple of things for me. some common misconceptions are if you used this method to find your slope, you're going to start notice, okay, I'm going down by 2, and then, oh wait, all of a sudden I'm going down by 1, and then I'm going down by 2 again. And so your instinct might be to think, so this isn't a line. But let's check our run first. So this is positive 4, right? And then this is positive 2. And then we're back to positive 4. So what you need to pay attention to is if we were just doing the slope from these 2 points, our slope would be negative 2 over 4, right? But if we were doing the slope from these 2 points, then our slope would be negative 1 over 2, but that's just the same thing. So actually, this does have our slope. It's negative 1/2. What happened here is we just skipped a point on our line. We didn't write the point you were expecting to see here. This is a line. If you take its slope and reduce it, it's negative 1/2, okay? So then, once you use it and plug in and solve, so now once you use negative 1/2, you should be able to solve for y solve for your y-intercept and end up with y equals negative 1/2 x plus 1. So I know I've given you a lot of information. Right now what you're going to do is you're going to get with a partner of your choice and practice a few more of these problems that you're going to see on the next slide. And we'll talk about this more when I see you on Monday. Good luck, guys.